meeting, and this is the continuation of the meeting of the village trustees. And that meeting was on, Lori, correct me here, that was
March
March
18th.
18th. Thank you. Here comes Matt.
I got him.
You got him? Okay. All right, so we've got a slight change to the agenda since this went out. We're going to do a quick per charter, confirm the appointments of the fire chief and 2 assistants. I have one quick request from the Board of Water Commissioners, which is also on in the charter for this board to do. Then we will move to Tim Newbold for the presentation of a public petition. Right after that, we will move to North Shaft Lions, who's going to talk about a diabetes awareness walk. And then we'll go on with the rest of our meeting. So, first order of business is according to charter, this body must confirm an appointment of a fire chief and 2 assistants. Lori, you have that information that we can make a motion and approve?
I do have the information of who, I'm not sure what you're asking me, but I do know.
We need the names of who the,
Right,
who
so-
we should be confirming to appoint obviously Ed Myers Jr. and then the 2 assistants, the same 2 assistants as last year?
Andy Myers,
Yes.
and I'm going to have to look that up, Mary.
Okay.
I thought I gave that to you, but maybe I
You
didn't.
did, and you gave it to all of us, and off the top of my head, I don't have it right here. I wonder, Lori, if it would be sufficient to say, just in the interest of time, that we confirm the appointment of Fire Chief of Ed Myers Jr. and 2
Okay.
assistants.
I have the information again. Ed Myers is the chief, Andy Myers is the 1st assistant, and Matthew Smith is the 2nd assistant.
Good, so we just need that motion.
So motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second here, all in favor?
Aye.
Easy,
Aye.
thank you. The other thing is something I had meant to bring up last time, and it just escaped my memory. But this, according to charter, this board also sets the stipend for members of the Board of Water Commissioners. They have been going on a $250 stipend for some years. They have put that in their budget, in their current budget, for $500 per month per board member. And I would like to just confirm that with the motion, since that is in our charter, that this body should be setting that rate. So I would make a motion that the Board of Water Commissioner stipend is $500 per
Month?
How many
No,
members
per-
are there?
There are 5 members, I believe, and it's per year.
Per year, okay.
So moved.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's 5.
There
So
are
I'll second.
It's less of an issue. I thought it was per month and I was like, wow.
Hey, Norm.
Okay, so that motion is on the table. I think Ray seconded that. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. 2 things according to charter are done. Tim is joining us by Zoom, and Tim, I'm going to turn this over to you. Let me know if there's something that I should do to have you share a screen, or are you just going to talk?
If you can in a moment, that would be great. If you can give me permission to do that in a moment, that would be great. But I just wanted to say thank you for letting me join you this evening. And I've been speaking at a number of forums around the community at our school, and this I thought would be another great opportunity to spread the word on the education reform that's being worked through in the legislation. And the proposal that's most prominent right now is something coming out of the House called H-454. And that education reform will drastically change the landscape of education in Vermont. And it's a sort of a 5-year plan where they'll be looking at the governance, the finances, and things like that. And it is right now, as written, it doesn't immediately end schools like the Village School and Choice in our district, but there is a strong possibility that if enacted and moves forward, that it will dramatically change the landscape of education in our small community. So we're putting together a petition for the Village School and other school choice schools in our area in support of maintaining school choice in our area, and that we feel like it's a very successful educational opportunity and provides a lot of great access to wonderful educations at the Village School, at places like Southshire and Highland Hall. But we want to maintain that system here. And so we'd like everybody's support in our area, in the region. And this is just another forum to spread that word. And I'm going to share now the petition. Let me see if I can do that.
While you're finding that, Laura, is this something that we would be able to put on the village website, on our landing page?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. A lot of people go to that site and are community members who also support the school. So the more places that it is, the
Okay.
better.
Okay. Oh, Kim Hall is suggesting it's also on Front Porch Forum. It's something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
it appears that I can't share right now, but
I'm
what I will
sorry.
do is it's posted on our website. It's on Front Porch Forum. I will send a copy to Lori, and then she can put it up on the village site as well. But I encourage people to visit the site, and it's a simple Google form, and we're collecting names and things like that from everybody, but also any small stories about educational opportunities in our community. And we've gathered well over 100, and a lot of people have shared great stories about their experiences in our community, and we hope that that will help move the pendulum, so to speak, as this goes forward, and help support our school, because I think what we do in this village has stood the test of time, and I think a lot of people coming out of this community have had great educations, and we've heard from a lot of those folks. And I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to present this, and I hope as many people as possible sign on.
I'm sorry, we've been trying to figure out how we made you the co-host, but we're not able to find out whether there's another.
It says only one participant can share, but it's not letting me share.
Let me see is there another
Oh,
way
now
to do
it is. All of a sudden it's no.
Okay.
Okay, so let me see.
Oh,
here we-
yes, there you go. Okay.
So right here you can see the QR code. So we'll put this it's up on our website, and I'll share it out with you. There's a QR code for people to have easy access, and then you can also just follow this Google link right here to the Google form. And we're slowly collecting those, and we'll be sharing those with the legislation as it goes forward. We think this bill may pass the House, and we hope there will be some changes as it goes through the Senate to modify some of the pieces. The big pieces that are of concern for us are that in the changes in governance, that this district may be eliminated completely, and then therefore will not be considered non-operating. So would not be able to tuition kids. So that's a big piece. And then also the finance piece that's moving forward. So those are the two elements that are most concerning right now, but we'll keep you posted as things move forward. But again, I thank you for all your support over these last couple of weeks and months. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And Lori can help us get that onto the village website.
Great.
Thank
Thank you so
Dan.
much.
Love it. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Ben. Perhaps it would. be
Anything you
germane
wanted to say?
I revised the education piece for the village website, and that's a second revision from what's on the website right now. So that's going to get posted sometime soon.
I did send that. I thought,
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I have to
I'd
go
have
back
to
and
check.
see. Yeah, I have to go back and check.
Thank you.
But I did request that.
So, people should look at that. It really has no, significant changes, if there's change of words and a little bit of reordering and correcting some things I thought were written before.
Kim, did you have a comment?
My understanding is that the alternative is the Bongart's bill, or proposed bill out of the Senate. And so I heard from the governor supported, asking him to support the Bongart's proposal, which creates a district for us, exclusively, and many other districts for independent schools, but follows a lot of what the governor wants in terms of creation of various school districts into fewer and larger ones, so that the smaller schools actually gain the ability to teach foreign language or have a band or, you know, all these other things that kids don't have in these very small districts. But we have a successful school that should be emulated rather than eliminated. And so certainly going to have that as an agenda item in front of the planning commission as well.
Okay,
Support the petition and to follow up with Tim on what we can do.
well, I know,
I appreciate that.
yes, thank you.
comment.
Kim, as usual, had a very well-written letter. I had the privilege of reading that. It was quite nice. And I know several of our board members have already completed that, petition. So I would urge you, if you need help finding a website or getting that QR code up, let one of us know and we'll help get you there. And then anyone in the listening public who maybe doesn't have a child in the school, but still is very interested in the well-being of the school and thus the community, watch for the village school website or other, the Village of North Bennington website, the school website, and Lori, I'm sure there's other places that the public can learn about this.
I think one of the ramifications of the governor's proposal would be not only would the institution and the building would no longer be occupied.
Yes, that's correct.
So significant, yes.
Indeed. Any other comments that anyone wishes to make on that subject? Lori, for your notes, this is Ray Cox speaking for North Shaft Lion. Ray, please feel free to come right on up. Be a little closer to the owl so everyone can hear you. This thing.
Right, okay.
Yeah, feel
Well,
free to sit.
Thanks for letting me speak. This is, I'm Ray Costa, she said, the president of North Shaft Lions. And we have about 5 missions in our club. And one of them is for diabetes awareness. And hello?
No, we just want you on camera.
Oh,
It's staring at
okay.
your chest.
Is diabetes awareness, and we're gonna have a walk for that. We'd like to have a walk for that, starting at Perrin Lake on the 3rd of May, 10 a.m. on Saturday. We'll come down past the Lions Park there, down around the fountain, back up to the Lions Park with some refreshments. And we don't expect a very big crowd. It's the first time we're doing this, but somewhere between 10 and 30 is a guess. And that's pretty much it.
What time did you say again?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
on a Saturday.
We get 2 thumbs up from Norm, so that means there's no interruption, there's nothing no road interruption or anything that we need to worry about.
No, what's your route?
We're gonna come on, we're gonna park up at Perrin Lake,
Yeah.
walk down there, right down past the park, come down to town here, just circle the, down where the fountain is and go right back to the park.
Yep.
It's less than a mile.
You wanna be in the road or?
No, we're gonna be on a walkway.
Oh, perfect,
Yeah.
okay,
There's no reason for anybody to walk in the road.
okay,
You know, we don't have to figure the route's gonna be there, so.
okay.
Years ago, Bob and Laura Block had started a program, a walk around the track at MAU for diabetes awareness because they have a daughter that's type 1. But that somehow just lost momentum So it's good to pick it up. 'Cause-
Yeah, and we hope to build on this. I mean, this is the first year we're trying to do this. Actually, Sarah, is the chair of it. And, just to get it started, and we think it can grow and we can do a lot of different things and something a little bigger scale next year.
Is there a sign up required or people just show up at Lake Parent?
Just show up at Lake Parent at 10 a.m. on the 3rd.
Okay.
And you're welcome to join us. More the merrier, would be better.
Is there a fundraising component? Like a sponsor?
No, not this, no. The only thing they're doing, I know a lot of the women are making bonnets, kind of jokester type stuff. If you would like to do that, that would be great, but you know, just to encourage walkers to come with us and, with the bonnets, if you can, just to kind of, you know, a little bit of fun. And then there'll be healthy snacks at the finish, which is at the park there.
Okay.
It's pretty simple,
Great.
but
Excellent.
we should come in and let you guys know
Okay.
what we can do, as long as, so everybody's okay with it.
I think you may well see several people from this room in that walk.
Well, we'd appreciate it. And I'll certainly pass on what we talked about earlier
Yes.
too. I'll try to get some people here for you,
Okay.
right?
But put it on Front Porch Forum for sure, because that gets a lot of traction.
Okay,
And if you haven't, stop and see Jenny at the library. And they post a lot of stuff. They have families, kids, people of, you know,
Okay.
from all over that would come in and they, that'd be a great place to get some word spread.
yeah, that'd be great. Just lastly, I know, I didn't tell you about this one, but we're having a small carnival at the VFW. Let's take advantage of it. I actually have posters in the truck. And it's a little bit of a partnership with the VFW. They've been gracious to let us use their venue for our meetings, our general meetings. It's the first year for that as well. That is on May 17th. And, so if that could get out there too, it's, free admissions and the prices on everything are gonna be very small. It's cotton candy apples, popcorn. We have a dunk tank, maybe a carousel might be showing up. And, a few other things. So it'll be a great time and it's gonna be between North Bennington, not North Bennington, Bank of Bennington and the VFW, because I think we've grown a little bit and I'm not so sure. I gotta get together with Norm that we're gonna fit everything in the VFW law. But just as another thing, throw out there if anybody is interested. And we have posted that on our website as well. Okay,
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah,
And I didn't push it up in this. We did that, and we did that. Okay, we now move, we are still right on time. We'll now move to the approval of the minutes of March 11th, and then I neglected to put in the special meeting minutes there too, but you have them on via email. Yes, so looking for that review, motion, for both. However you want to do it.
The motion. Minutes for Tuesday, March 11th. And Tuesday, March 18th.
Okay,
The board special meeting after the annual meeting.
I'll second.
okay. Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Let's move ahead to the payment of bills.
Okay, I will do the payroll warrant first. Payroll is for the month of March. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was a 2 pay period month. There was one Aflac payment. Again, the retirement will continue to show on here. So the payroll warrant for the month of March was 13,706.80.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no comment, I'll assume there's no comment. All in favor?
Aye.
And for the warrant for the bills, I combined the late March and the regular April as they overlapped and they were both fairly unequal. And the grand total for that is 42,258.41. It's very straightforward. There's not a lot out of the ordinary. The two largest items on there is the quarterly to VLCT for insurance and a continuation payment for the ongoing audit to RHR Smith. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my, report. Other than that, there's really nothing out of the ordinary. If anybody has any questions, I did send out the detail, but other than that, we'll look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Questions? If folks are second to look at that. Scott, did you
No,
have a question?
No.
Okay.
Looks good.
Then hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Norm, you're up.
Okay. So we got,
Excuse me, just one moment. Lori, give us a thumbs up if you can't hear, Norm clearly enough, and we'll move the owl in his direction. Thank you.
All right, so we got a couple of things to talk about this month. So one, Rollins Field. Springtime, it's time to start reworking on that. You know, we gotta reseed it, not because it's not bad, that's how the process is. You see it twice. So there's a bid proposal from the grass seed company, which are big, turf companies that do that. For all the product, that's not them, that would be still us doing it. I forget, I don't have that.
That was $6,794.
Right.
Right, that's a 7 acre piece of property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna turn into golf course. So I talked to Doug. We still have some ARPA money left, that we, under that. There still is, some work, so there'll be some fuel coming out of there. We had talked, our next biggest expense, and I think we ought to do it in the ARPA money, is paving the entrance of Wellings Road, and that would be in 100 feet. Because all the cars turn there, and it's riddled with potholes. I mean, you guys are walking all the time. You understand it, plus the dust on that last house. Is pretty unmerciful, and we're gonna deal with that. So again, how you choose to break out in our paving budget, but I would just suggest that part of that project, what I mean, we're bringing hopefully a whole bunch of people to that area to do that, so anyways, so that's a little bit, so we gotta do that. I met with my fencing guy tonight at 5:30, I went back over there, and so we'll have a budget price on the fence. Then we need to just sit down and decide really where we, wanna put it. I would say at the top of the field, to keep it from going over a 4 foot high chain fence straight across. I would remove the split rail fence and it's all broken, whatever's left, and then I would ditch that whole side. Deep enough so a car can't drive through it, then Sam can mow it, and then that's this done. There's going to be some more fencing as we go, the baseball area and, some other things, so. Well, that's to come, you know what I mean, again,
Is that something that you would like, one or two trustees or whoever is interested to go up and do that walk with you and look at like you?
I think once we get the fence quote, we should do that.
Okay,
You know what I mean, and again, probably, maybe even some of the local coaches that may possibly be playing on the field would be a good idea, you know what I mean? I wanna put it the furthest out as possible on the edge of the hill. They're gonna need to have something, usually they don't have a fence right around the field, they just have the goal. But sitting with their fencing guy, he suggested every 100 feet, we put a 3 foot wide entrance, and actually, it's a really good idea. So people don't have to walk all the way down and all the way around.
yeah.
So we decided on 2 of the entrances, just an entrance, and then the third one is really close to where the soccer field is, so there we would put a gate. So, the ball will fly through, but, the other ones will just be regular entrances, I think that's a great idea.
Mark Boudreau can definitely coordinate that, and so he'll be able to,
Yeah.
talking with the coaches.
Right, and we can sit there, we can almost, the coaches, we can kind of do it on paper.
Yeah.
On the plan and say, hey, this is where we're thinking, but, we can certainly walk out there and look at that. Because we don't want to put the fence up once, and we want to involve the baseball side before we put the other fence up, you know what I mean, even though, we're not gonna take a baseball diamond this year, but now's the time to put in the fence, and the fence guys in there. I can put you in contact with that.
Need culverts at the entrances, because you'll be spanning the ditch.
No, there's already a culvert at the driveway, and at the top, we might have to put in one. We're gonna put a gate on both ends, we have the gate at the bottom. We'll eventually repair that, make that nicer, we probably won't be this year, but
Mhm.
we will, that's already got a culvert. And then up at the top, we're gonna have a gate. We may need a culvert up there, we may not, but that's pretty flat, like somebody could drive in there anyways all the time. But there'll be a gate, so big enough, so like an ambulance got to drive in, or anything on that side of the field. They could drive in.
I missed how far the paving's going to go.
The pavement, I'm proposing 100 feet. If we have a little more money in our paving budget,
Yeah.
after we get the other roads done, we'll keep going a little bit, but, 100 feet gets us.
Basically gonna clean up the entrance where the traffic's.
That is correct,
Yeah.
I'd really like to go 200, but we ain't, I don't think we got it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we gotta pick somewhere, cause, we're also gonna have to dig out that road and make it ready.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Cause we don't wanna. Dirt roads historically in Vermont were just roads that people kept driving on and then they just dump gravel on, right? So we wanna do a little work to it to make sure it's ready. And, so,
You want it to hold up.
yes, yeah, we don't wanna waste our investment.
That's right.
So, with that being said, that leads us into our paving. Did you send out the 2 paving proposals?
I did not.
Okay, perfect. Well, I brought them, just in
Okay.
case, because I didn't, I
No,
don't think I saw
no, I thought, I actually didn't have
Well,
that.
it's-
them. No, you can just hand them around. So we have two vendors that decided to submit bids. One is Springfield Paving, and the other is Fuller Sand and Gravel. We worked with both of these individuals before. So Springfield Paving, and this would be to do pave River Road, so basically from, the old 10th Ave intersection to the end of our line. That would be on the sharp corner where the house is with all the solar. They'd actually mill the road out. Because it's always breaking away there, and then we would come in and dig it out. And put some gravel back, then they would come back and base it, top it and everything. That is taking, Park Street, the paved section on Park Street, which is destroyed. That is completely ripping that all apart, grinding it up like we did West Street, and then shaping it and repaving it. And then the Wellings Road. And for Springfield paving, it is 148,535. And for Fuller, it is 128,205.
Is there any distinct difference between the two or just the financials?
No, really just the financial. But Fuller's done, he's won the bids the last 2 or 3 years. We do work well with them. They have done a lot of work in town of Bennington. I don't know if they'll get their bids this year, but, they work very good with the sewer department and, the Park Street, believe it or not, the one section, the small section of dirt road has a sewer manhole on it that needs to be rebuilt. So, they'd have to come in first and then be gone. And stuff like that, so.
So you're comfortable with Fuller?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm very comfortable with Fuller. I did send a message out to Doug to see what we had, in and around in our favor budget. You know what I mean? So if we took that, basically paid 250 out. And that became ARPA funds for the park, so now we're like at 120. I think we have 100,
So,
and then we have 20 left.
so where we broke it down to be conservative, because there may still be some things that pop up. So we said, Mary and I looked at what the current budget was based on the year-to-date that I had sent out. So we said conservatively, there would be 100,000 left in this fiscal year. then the difference, whether it be 20 or 30, depending on how things shake out, would be towards the coming fiscal year. And the way the project would work, it would probably overlap anyway.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it,
okay.
it would be
If-
kind of like what we did when we did the culvert project on Overley Road. It spanned 2 fiscal years.
Okay,
Okay.
so it fits.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
As it sits right now, yes.
And Fuller, if it, Fuller don't care, he just paid him next. He just don't come in and get the work done. And we got,
Great,
you know what I
great.
mean, but, you know, they're scheduling it, and it's a lot of work, you know what I mean, we're spread thin in some different spots, so we might have to jump around a little bit.
Does it matter if it becomes a very rainy spring?
Yes, but the price won't matter, it just
Okay.
takes longer to get it,
Okay,
so that issue,
okay.
that won't bother.
This is something that has to get done when it's warm enough to lay down pavement, right?
Yes, yeah, like the blacktop plant here won't till the end of April, first of May.
Okay.
So May, June, July, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere like that. I mean, he, you know, because of the nature of the work that he's gotta do, and then other people have to come in behind him, so it's us. You know, he's gonna be here, then he's gonna leave, then he's gonna come back, then he's gonna leave, you know what I mean? He's gonna leave dry ground.
Okay. So do you need a motion to approve that?
Well, at that figure, yes, it'd be,
I make that motion.
Second.
Or, it's 120?
128, 205.
128, okay.
and then we can figure out how we wanna divide up that piece of pie later on.
And Lori, I'll make sure that we'll make sure that you get a copy of this proposal, these 2 bids, so that they become permanent record.
And
Yeah.
should I mention that it's coming out of partly this year's fiscal year or next fiscal?
I don't think we would at this point,
Yeah.
because we can talk about that when, like I just said, Norm, when we know when he's gonna start, we can
Okay.
have that discussion, because
Alright,
let's
so-
say he can't start until June 20th. It's not gonna matter because we would be, we'd be carrying a fund balance for a month
Yep.
and then pay it out.
All right.
Okay.
So I made the motion.
I seconded it.
Can I have some clarification? We're talking about from, 67 by the Stone Church down to the Henry Bridge Park.
Correct.
Okay, and the apron that goes up to Park Street goes up. How far on Park?
No, we're talking about the paved section on the top of hillside that goes towards Sunny Monroe's residence. It's,
Yep.
Park Street, 600 feet.
It's in front of Knopfsiger's property.
Oh, so not down below, not at the corner where you're actually laying
Yeah.
it,
Not the.
No, we've already
extension
paid that.
right?
67, but to,
No,
The old
Sure.
section that got beat up by the water, pipe stuff.
yes, that is correct.
And
Wow.
then a little section of Welling Road.
That is correct.
Okay. In favor, I vote aye.
Okay,
I,
all in favor then? Lori, that was unanimous. Okay, excellent.
All right.
And you also had a couple of other things.
Yeah, so we were talking about, the, flashing stop sign down by, Pangea's, where, the architect used to be, that great building, I can't remember. the name.
This was at the annual
Yeah.
meeting, when that proposed or draft plan for the intersection was done. There were suggestions for, helping mitigate the traffic. And one of them was to put the speed sign and then the stop sign that has flashers around it. And so Norm looked into both of those.
So you can see, I mean, the prices, I don't.
Yeah.
Just print that off, if they were sent out to you.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff's all crazy expensive for what it is.
right,
You
So
know, and, you know, the crosswalk signs that we put out, they've been fairly reliable, you know, we've had some issues with the button went bad, you know, who knows some kid was playing with it or somebody was. And it on its way, and we had the freakishly cold weather, it kind of zapped the system, it just had to be restarted, but, other than that, it's all right. Down there, the building is gonna be right next to it, so I don't really know how the sun's gonna affect it. You know what I mean, that's not a powered unit. Powered unit to a pole is certainly a lot more dependable, but they're a lot more money. I'm not saying that we could remove it if it didn't work and put it in another spot.
Yeah.
That gets more sun. But that, it comes over that side of the mountain, we get a fair shot at it. And again, like I said, the crosswalks, signs, they're the same thing, like $9,000 or something like that.
The flashing, well, we had the LED solar stoplight is $1,100. And then the
Stop sign, did you mean?
stop signage, the
Yeah.
one that, the 2 units that flash what your speed is. Oh, I thought I had them right there. That was
just
just around sex. That was
68,
around
99.
sex, yeah, and then you add a little bit, so that's around
Might as well be
7,000.
7. Might as well be 7.
Yeah, go ahead. So, does anyone have any preference on solar stop sign versus the flashing lights?
We can do them both.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Go,
So
go.
there was in the original ARPA usage, there was $8,000 earmarked for what would have been the speed sign.
Okay.
So now, because we didn't know at the time, we didn't have the exact quote. So it was earmarked to 8,000. So with that coming in at about 7 and the stop sign coming in about 1,100. And the money that we were talking about with Norm for Welling Field, that 8,000 is not included in that. So the 8,000, so basically the 2 of those signs would be covered by ARPA funds.
Well,
Okay.
actually, the first one, the 68.99 is for 2 units, solar power.
But is that one too? On either
Yeah,
side?
we look at that, look at so many of the stuff.
We are running out a deal for 2 units solar powered for 6,800 plus shipping.
I don't know if that's individually or that's the sum total.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's 2.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's 2, but I think this is for the crosswalk.
Is that for the crosswalks? It's
It's
not for the speed thing? Did we want a
For West
crosswalk there?
Main, Water
No.
Street.
The speed, the speed thing, I will tell you, if we buy the speed thing, we need to, buy one that's plugged in.
Yeah.
Because
we
it's so,
don't have enough.
the traffic on that road is just crazy and it doesn't keep up.
This is for Prospect or
Just
water?
for wherever you decide to go.
Okay, so the flashing stop sign for the bottom of Prospect,
That's about,
1,100 sounds like a good idea.
and the other one, I believe, those were crosswalks.
They were,
Yeah, we
okay,
talked-
they look cheap for
Talked about putting them up on Bank Street, they're like the ones that we have now.
Yeah, okay.
above it.
Elijah.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't believe I have a speed sign on it.
Yeah, you gave me one for a radar speed sign,
Okay,
and that was the 7,000.
I looked at so many.
And he
of that.
said, I know, he said that's two unit solar power. What I'd like to know is what are the type that Shasberry uses? Because they seem quite reliable.
They do, I don't,
So maybe we need to look into that.
yeah. I think they're hard.
Okay.
the one that they had up on
Yeah,
Fox.
well, one I'll tell you is that, because they move.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
The one coming into Shasbury is definitely hard. There's a,
Okay, and then there's one on, when you go out past, Gambling store.
yeah, well.
Is that, okay,
Bank Street
Well,
extension.
yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah. I can definitely look into it.
okay. But I know those are things that our residents have been asking for a while, and we did say that something like that would be incorporated into, the intersection, project. So,
I definitely think if we finally do the intersection project, just look below, we should put one of those hardwired.
hardwired
One
ones.
that they're just flashing all.
Yeah.
So the flashing stop sign, that's for
Bottom of Prospect.
bottom of Prospect,
Yeah.
and the two, speed signs are at
Wherever we.
the other, where we have to decide.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm kind of thinking, I thought this was for the intersection project, but if they're solar, do we need them now? Do we need them now? What about the solar one that we have?
The solar one we have, we need to get a new battery.
Okay,
It doesn't, it gets put out and it just doesn't last long enough for the traffic.
I mean, is a battery $1,000 or a few hundred?
I don't, I didn't
Okay.
look at it. We
So-
got dealing with that and we were doing our sidewalk projects, we just didn't have time
Okay,
to mess with that. You know, we sit in a spot where it's got a lot of sun, it lasts pretty good.
So, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So your recommendation is don't get the solar ones, just invest in a.
Well, it depends on, yeah, it depends on where we're, you know, Bank Street has a lot of traffic. You know, it's just, they don't keep up with what it can charge and what it can do. You know, they fail all the time.
Cause when we started looking at this a few years ago, it was like 10,000 for the mobile unit and then like 7,500 for
You know,
the permanent units. And I'm sure that's changed since then. But that's why looking at these prices, I was like, well, that's really cheap, but you're right, they're solar.
I'll revisit these, hopefully next week. I mean, we're gonna start on our sidewalks.
Okay.
That's fine, but we could approve.
And we'll,
the-
if they are,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, we'll stay, we'll definitely, if I do pull the trigger because it's the right time and there's a deal on, I'll stay under that time frame.
Okay.
So that would be at the end of Bank Street near Galen's place, or?
Those, if they are lighted speed signs, they can be anywhere we want them. Okay,
They're
I
not.
believe, and I thought of what I was sending Mary was those crosswalk signs.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah.
and at the end of, at Bank Street
Yes,
Church,
Bank
we're
Street,
going to
sure.
put a crosswalk across
Yes.
that
Right.
road to go from each side.
Right.
And that was another set of those lights to slow people down
Yes.
as they're coming.
Yeah,
yes. And that would be really helpful to have the lights that are like at the library, so people crossing should push that.
Yeah.
This, it says, unless the description is wrong, it says mobile speed signs.
Yeah, you know what, it probably is, it's probably the
Radar.
best email for me.
Okay,
I would say, my
Yeah.
opinion, based on what Norm just said, we're gonna put a lot of money into the sidewalks that are going on Church Street.
yes,
And if we're putting a crosswalk there, I would almost say at this point in time, if somebody's willing to make the motion that we should use the ARPA funds for the stop sign at the bottom of Prospect and the crosswalk flashing lights for the project that Norm was talking.
yes,
yeah,
I like that too.
I'd agree with that.
Because I think, like, and Norm can agree or disagree, but I think those flashing lights are gonna naturally slow people down on that.
Well, I think they do it on, you know, going by the library, when people turn them on, they're pretty bright.
And there's quite a few people that
You
cross.
know, but the hard part is, you know, Jeffrey, you gotta hate when I say this, you know, they're solar powered, they need to see the sun. Trees block the sun, you know, it's a lot of money wasted if they don't get used. Now, the crosswalk ones aren't, because they have time to charge up, because they're not being used. The speed sign, a car's going by it every 2 seconds, and it just it kills it, it won't keep up.
Yeah, so it sounds like that should be hardwired.
We should try it.
You know, it's a lot cheaper to put, to trim a tree than it is to put in wires, so, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, that's, you know, we gotta look at, you know, what's best.
And wiring has to come off the pole and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing, it will be easy on the Church Street side, but it's not gonna be easy on the next street.
No,
You know, it's a lot easier to trim a tree, than to let it get sunshine.
right,
You know, and again, those things, they're used primarily in the morning and in the afternoon, and then summertime, it's just kind of.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly. They work pretty good.
You couldn't hardwire the one on Prospect, could you?
What?
Couldn't hardwire the one on Prospect, the stop sign?
Oh, so pole there.
Yeah.
You gotta get power from a pole, you gotta have.
Saying, it's not- You're cutting through concrete or whatever to get to,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
look, it's an improvement from what's there. It's not hugely expensive. It's mobile enough that we can move it elsewhere if a better mousetrap comes up in the future.
But that's gotta be on all the time, right?
That is, those are, yes, so, yeah, I'll,
So
and
it'll,
they're designed for that. You know, again, they just need to get sun enough to charge it now. As I say, no truer state in my life that I believe, there'll be an individual that's gonna come in and gonna want another one on one corner. Up on the end of Madison Road, once he sees it. Then it's gonna, like, you know, it's just gonna be a relentless discussion about that.
so tonight, we want to approve the stop sign for Prospect and you to price out
A crosswalk.
a crosswalk for Bank.
You're right, well, we're just.
Okay, and then, and
A little time.
we'll come back to the solar.
Yes, we'll come
Speed
back
signs
to the
later.
speed signs
Okay,
when we move forward with the design of the intersection.
great. So for tonight, do you want a motion to approve?
No, I don't think.
No.
You don't need it, you can just go
Not,
for it.
not for that price.
Great.
But we all agree that it's
A good one.
a good move.
And if that's on sale, then you know what I mean, then, you know, if it's gonna save us $2,000.
Yeah, I like getting that one out at Galen's place at the end of.
So we got those two things, we got the pavement,
Cause there are kids from South Shore, there are kids from the village school,
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
just,
it's not-
so people now.
can I just give an opinion?
Yes.
So when I listen to discussions about signs and this sign and that sign, it brings me back about 15 years ago to a trustee who was very active on the board. And his comment was, do you want the village of North Bennington to be a village of signs? And I feel like this is happening. You know, you have signs coming into the village, signs going out of the village, signs at this intersection, signs on that street. And I want everyone to be safe, but I also want us to be mindful of how many signs we put up and about through the village. And that's just what I keep thinking about when I hear more signs and, you know, that sort of thing. So.
lacrosse, the stop sign's already there, so it would just be replacing it with a different style. And if you want a crosswalk, we have to put up crosswalk signs. So-
And Norm, I'm not just talking about this intersection project. It's just that I've been meaning to say this for a long time because every time you turn,
No, litter on a stick.
there's another sign.
Litter on the stick.
I agree.
Litter,
I agree.
What?
litter.
Oh, litter on the stick.
Litter on a stick.
I mean, some of them glitter.
Well, I am
Litter.
happy
No, I
that,
know.
I am always happy when people voice their opinion, so thank you for that.
I have one quick question. You're talking about finishing the sidewalk on Church down to Bank, and right there would be this crosswalk?
Yes,
Okay, so there's another crosswalk at School Street. Would that remain or would
Yeah.
that? Okay, so we got two there.
yes.
Sounds great to me.
Yep.
And only one would have lighting, would have the lights.
At this point in
At
time,
this point in time,
And,
yes.
and I think having that stop sign that lights up, press the button, it lights up. I think that's useful kind of signal for traffic coming into the village. Because the traffic's coming partly when kids are going to school.
Yes.
And, it's gonna be useful to at least do some slowing down traffic, some traffic calming.
And for children who are walking, they learn to use those things
Yeah.
to help their own safety.
Yeah, I
right.
agree with Lori, we don't want signs at every 50 feet, but I think that leaves the middle of the village, unlighted at least, we'll just have whatever stop signs there are.
Well, and maybe that blinking light crosswalk will have the effect that we're kind of looking for a radar sign farther back. That it will slow things down as people are coming in to a degree that we don't need a radar sign at the end of the road. But you know, that'll be like, do this first and see how it affects things. And then just a question. At the bottom of Prospect, have we ever had accidents happen down there? Like historically, I know that the.
Not since I've been here.
Okay.
The only accident was at the bottom when, you know, a car went the wrong way in front of Pangea's
Yeah,
and then hit another car coming up the street. And, you know, here's, in all reality, there really doesn't even need to be a stop sign,
mhm,
okay? That could be a yield because you can only turn right. There's no cross.
Right.
In all reality, the stop sign should be on the Pangea side, because that car is the one that's crossing the lane. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
But the problem is you can't really control it over there, so they put it over here. Right, and I mean, you know, sometimes you have to make that determination, you know, that's been a stop sign there since I was never. ever-
There's a lot of children that walk around there too, so.
Yeah,
I think that's probably not a bad idea to have a stop sign, although most people do treat it as a yield sign.
Actually, there was that car that came out and slammed into the tree in Lincoln Park. You know, didn't make the call
That was-
because it was going in such a great
that was
rate.
bad driving, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't into another car, it was into the tree and the curb.
Okay, we need to
I
move.
witnessed that.
Right, so no motion on that.
No, I think it was just a discussion a nice discussion on general signs, and we know kind of the direction that Norm will pursue.
Could I just, well, Doug, are you gonna have you're gonna have a treasurer's report next?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait.
We had under other business though, Norm, did you want to mention the truck or not at this point? Truck.
yeah, I mean, I still, I don't. I probably have to. Go down.
Oh, but keep going.
Oh, okay.
This is the bad time of year, but it's not for a
Keep
lot of
going.
discussion, it's more for information that people want. Right, so, hopefully next week, we're gonna start on Church Street, sidewalk. What the plan is to excavate the dirt, get it out, build a base, then probably wait till school's out, and then re-excavate for the curb, because we're gonna pour a curb in place, and then do it. The, power company's going to be here not next week, but the week after. Next week, the tree guy will be there to get rid of the big maple tree that's in the way of the whole process. We spoke with the homeowner, and she completely understands the tree's really cracked. Once the power gets low, you know, the tree, it's very, likely that if it falls, it's going right to your house, so, you know, I think that's what we're dealing with that. So that will be not an issue anymore because it'd be done. So we're gonna start working on that. Again, we've got some paving stuff here I've got to meet. The people down on the end of Park Street about that ditch, you know, it's not going as smoothly as somebody would propose. So we're going, you know, back and forth and, you know, we cannot, the homeowner is a little worried because something happened at a relative's house and she doesn't kind of want to see that at their piece of property. And, you know, kind of like tightening up the reins on how we need to fix it. And if we can't really fix it right, I ain't gonna do it, you know, because it's gonna create a problem and I'm gonna get blamed for creating the problem, right? Because, you know what I mean? If we want to, board wants to say, no, we are gonna do it. We're gonna stay in our right of way and if we fix it, then we can make that decision. It's not today, because we really wanna stay with the homeowner, but
Do we need to have another group meeting with the homeowner?
yeah, I've already had one.
Yeah, I'm not quite picturing what.
Yeah, I've already had, one myself, because I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any concerns, and some of the ones that I had. We had, and I certainly understand, I get it, right? You know, I built like a square, I built sidewalks, I've done some nice work around the village, I can do this job. But when I'm being constrained. And then it fails, which I know it's gonna fail, I'm not gonna be blamed for it,
Okay.
because my attitude, you know, I'm not gonna take that off. They're gonna get the S signature sheets. just gonna go bad, you know? We have the actual right of way, and legally, we can do exactly what we wanna do. And we can solve this problem 100%. Okay? If it becomes, not an agreeable situation with the homeowner, then I guess we leave it the way God built it, and we say, have a nice day. You know what? Because it's just not worth the fight. Not to me,
Okay.
so.
Would
we
you
got
be,
that.
would you be willing to speak to that or off camera or whatever? The actual situation, because I'm not sure I understand where you're.
Yeah, Matthew, we'll reserve that for another day and we will talk to Norm about that. Because I'm with you, I'd like to understand a little better, but not in a public forum.
Norm, do you need a schedule of school closings, et cetera, in June? For your planning?
No, I mean, it's pretty much, once it closes, that's it. Right? I mean,
I guess do you need the date?
oh, the date the school closes, yeah, you can just let me know that. You know, it's
Sure.
not gonna hold up, we'll start at the end, I just don't wanna have a whole bunch of stuff when people are still coming in and out. You know, kids walking around, maybe doing something to our concrete because they can't resist.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
there's a couple dates after school gets out, that the school will still be full for a couple days, so I'll just send you those dates.
Yeah, perfect. We'll just work around. You know, I envision it being done pretty much in the month of July, very early August, or late June. You know, and again, we'll ask the fire department, they'll post somebody there to, watch the sidewalk so they don't get, destroyed. Just a lot of little kids, little kid ones, they might want to ride their bike across it, or their fingerprints in it. You know, we just wanna try to avoid all that.
And Prince.
Yeah, I got a call from DMV today, wanted to know if we still had our placeholder out here, so I'm pretty sure I'll have the title. within a
Oh,
week or
okay.
so,
Okay,
and then, you know, as it fits in, yeah, that's kind of low on our priority, but we'll try to get a rainy day, we'll try to get rid of it, so. The last thing, Timmy, our part-timer is gonna start next week,
okay,
3 days a week, so I told Lori so she can inform anybody that needs to know. And, hopefully we'll start, and if it's 20,
Yep.
you know, like dry crop, and we can get some things done before we really get started with the grass.
Yeah, I have one, comment to make. I need to remove the, cabinet in the kiosk for the permaculture. And, I'm just letting you know that I will do that. I think I figured it out so that I can get someone with a pickup to help me, and probably, don't need any of the highway equipment that was used previously to get everything up, because I think it's manageable. But, I will let you know when I intend to do that. I'm just letting you now that it's gonna happen, so.
Yeah, it needs an offer, you know, we.
Yeah. I assume I can go in the entrance down the road with the log beside it.
Yeah, when it's, yeah, when it dries out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you'll know if it gets done. So the last thing that we got, so one of our trucks, truck one we call it, is due to be replaced this year. So now, you know, we called today to the dealer that we use a lot, you know what I mean, we certainly put it out to all of them, but, you know, asked about the tears. Says there's nothing held right now for 30 to 60 days, I believe. The body companies are all the same way, but they're expecting, because they all come out of Canada.
Yeah.
You know, so we gotta do something with that, so that truck, you know, has 38,000 miles on it. Again, we got into a system where we're getting rid of them a little earlier, than what we ran for hardly any repairs. So that truck needs a set of tires right now, okay, we have 2 sets of tires for that truck, so we have 8 tires. 4 for the winter, 4 for the summer. The 4 for the winter have been on 2 trucks. Okay, so, you know, we should think about what we're going to do. You know, cause the tires for that thing are probably, you know, $250, $300 a piece, you know, so you start. You know, adding that kind of money, it makes a big difference that you get nothing for when you trade, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, we're not gonna get that money back. You know, so we're gonna meet with the salesman on Monday, we're gonna get some budget numbers from both. And then we can further talk about that. We, again, we've set up a system long ago, when Mary started. And, you know, we're really close to being just trading and having everything done. So, but the world is, the truck world is not the same as it used to be, so. You know, I think that's where we're at. If it's the right decision, I'll be hurrying up and saying, hey, we need to order a truck now. And if it's not, we can wait a little bit, you know. Things take forever to get built, so, you know, we really shouldn't wait too awful long. And again, with the tariffs that are coming and getting back and forth, I don't wanna be chicken little, I like the sky's falling, but, you know, if the stuff is bought and it's sitting on the ground, it's, we own it. It doesn't cost us any more money, you know, the world, you know, something like that. So. We really should,
You're gonna look into that.
I'm gonna look into that and we're gonna get back to you guys with some good budget numbers. And then we'll go back. It's pretty much the same thing again.
And Doug has provided information on what we have in the reserve fund, so Norm is aware of what that limit is, so we'll only do what is in the reserve, we won't exceed.
Well, Norm, you've always been good about doing this surplus equipment swap stuff that really gets us funds into that so that we can make it happen, right? Appreciate that.
So other than that, I don't think I really have it. Gone way over time.
No.
No,
I won't be here Thursday, I live in Kansas City, again, I've requested that go out, we have to, it's. I'll be back next week, and then like September's coming back.
Good.
We're gonna start figuring out where I gotta be with Fuller, you know, obviously the sidewalk was gonna take a little bit of a backseat to the paving that we have to contract with somebody else, but, you know, I really wanna start getting that sidewalk out so we can set, and, you know, ground can firm up over this time, and, you know, people can get used to it. And move on. There was a rumor that we were gonna pave Hall Street this year, I did call that person back, you know, Hall Street is not even in the realm of this year, you know, so. We got some pipes that once we get through, we really need to start working on. We gotta go back to get those, the right of ways and easements from the homeowners, start fixing those, but, you know, I would like to be on Hall Street for the next few years. We really.
thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Public probably is aware, but Lori sent us all the AOT's announcement of the roundtable or the roundabout project.
Peanut.
Yeah, the peanut project. That's, yes, I would like that. Yeah, does it need to be signed and sent in? Okay. All right,
Yeah,
I want to make
The
sure.
peanut project
The peanut,
starts.
the
next week.
peanut project is already started. It started on the 4th. I don't know if that's gonna have any impact at all on traffic through North Bennington. Don't know, but
Just means you have to go up 7
yes,
a.m.
it's just fact of life for a while, so people will know that.
I think it will affect College Road, Harlan Road.
Yeah.
Madison Road, Cannon Street,
Yeah.
you know, people here come over that way.
But
You know, I think very few people will cross over the wood bridges and kind of go to Bennington through Old Bennington. You know,
Right,
they're.
they're all gonna
State,
go up.
you know,
Mhm.
mechanic overlay, get the Route 7A.
This is the summer that they're doing the project out on 67 too, right?
No, they pushed out a year, I believe.
They pushed it back, okay, that's good.
Something, get that.
The big culvert that was gonna
I made a few.
shut down
Oh,
right
thanks.
at Harrington Road,
Because that's.
I
didn't make
coming
copies.
towards
Yeah.
the village, and then they're gonna have to divert people through Hoosick or
Okay, thank you, Norm.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is that down at the other end of Harrington? Where
It's,
it's
Thank you,
67?
Norm.
yeah, it's on 67.
Yeah. so-
Moving
But it's a
along
big- it's a
to
bigger
treasurer's report.
Okay, we talked about a few of the things, that I was gonna talk about, which was the ARPA funds. So Mary confirmed that the other last project is completed, so the only funds left are the village funds. So we've talked about the ballpark's idea of what's left in the account. There is some interest that the village, gets to retain from that account. So when you see, I'll be sending the cash balance report next week for March. I just didn't have time to get to it with the audit stuff that I'll talk about in a second. Within the month of April, I'm going to close out the separate ARPA fund and move all of those into our operating account. It'll clean that up before fiscal year end, because the remaining funds are all gonna be used by the village. So we have already done the reporting, we did the one time, the village did the one time usage, so everything is there. We'll have probably one more, well, two more, because it's calendar year for the ARPA reporting, and then that will be it. But as far as the account goes, in the month of April, that'll be closed out. Delinquent taxes continue to trickle in. This is kind of a slower time. I did get two more paid in full this month, so that brought us down a bit again. I'll continue to report on that. Usually by June, there's a few more people that pay, through the next couple of months. The audit is still ongoing. Mary and myself got a lot of the information together that they needed as far as the tracking, so they pull samples of checks and invoices and samples of deposits and samples of payroll. So Mary was great to help me with that, because I'm also working on the water department one at the same time. And the bookkeeper for the water department has been great in helping over there too. So again, that's an ongoing process. This round is should be more intensive and longer, because A, this is the first time this firm has worked with us, and B, they're doing 2 years, and then it's gonna be every year after that. So they're having to back up 2 years, and they're, never have seen our stuff before. So they're working through that. That was all I had. I know, Scott, you said you had a question.
I think you answered it, so.
Okay,
Getting back to Welling Field,
yes,
there were 2 items that were ARPA items, like the grass seed was one.
Yep.
Is the fence also?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right,
So far, the way that the ARPA project for Welling Field was approved, there was, if you hold on for 2 seconds, I can tell you what the original amount was that we had talked about. So the original amount for Welling Field was 80,000, correct, Ray? Thank you. And there was 2 smaller items that the village was going to do, digitalizing of the records and tree removal. Those decided not to move forward, so those monies were moved over to the Welling project.
okay,
Tree removal is still going, but it's not being used under ARPA funds. That's now has become a line
Line
item
item,
budget.
yeah.
And we did a reserve for
Yeah.
that too.
So, right,
okay,
so those are there. So it's 90,000 is the amount for Welling Field, that was approved. And
from ARPA funds.
from ARPA funds, correct?
Okay, good.
And there was a couple of amounts that were approved that came in under, if you remember correctly, from a couple of the projects. So those monies can go into the village. So we have those. So we have approximately right now, to be conservative, 12 to 13,000. So the turf is 100% within that.
Right,
A good chunk of the fence is in there. Then, if you remember, we haven't even used any Parks Reserve. So the next piece to finish that project will be from the Parks Reserve account.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then There's still the earmark, Mark Boudreau spoke a couple months ago about the few projects at Lions Park to fix the skate and things like that. So that will all still be able to be done within the park reserve fund.
Right, so. Do you have what we've spent in materials on, and outside assistance? Just roughly,
We do, yes, I don't have it right in front of me.
okay.
Yeah,
alright,
but
it's-
if you, on the, last month on the year-to-date budget, it'll be in that.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Well, I
That
think
was all
this
done
is,
within this.
compared to 435,000 or whatever,
Yes. Amazing,
this is working out quite
amazing
well.
bargain for the village.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
for
And,
everybody else
and,
to
and
use it.
you say about the work to be done, a lot of that was in kind from, partners that Norm has, that he
Right.
helped
Yeah.
out.
yeah,
Town
no,
of Shaftesbury,
it's
uh,
phenomenal, it's the way the world should work.
Yeah,
And, so, I think it's.
It's a
great.
I
continuation.
think Art was
of-
over there quite a bit with Norm, Art Whitman.
Uh-huh,
Was helping Norm quite a bit, so, and those aren't folks that bill us, and it's just the in
Right.
kind.
nice.
I'm just glad you used up the money before it was taken back.
Yeah,
Yep.
good point.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we thank these people that helped out, or is that just
Yes,
for
we
a flow
did, and I
between
believe-
Norm and his
We do good cards.
fellow working people?
We'll double check, there's definitely thank yous, and there might have been a small,
Some gift cards, I think.
Yeah.
All right,
that
Oh,
Norm
great.
had done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great, great.
any other questions for me?
no, that's
Nope.
fantastic.
That's excellent. Yes, that is, if you have not done it, you have no idea the workload that Doug has right now.
Oh.
So thank you
I
very
do
much,
have-
Doug.
I have some idea.
Yes. you
I
will.
would not like to be. the-
Yes, yes. Okay, if we're done now, is there anything for DRB to report? No,
Nothing this
then
month.
we will move right exactly to planning commission, about 10 minutes late, but Kim, please feel free to stay there, come forward, whatever your pleasure.
Could I?
Oh,
We skipped the fire department, and
Oh.
I guess I misremembering something. Did we decide we're not having a parade, the Memorial Day?
I have not,
I haven't had any
I've left that to our old business and see if that. can
Okay.
come up.
We'll talk to it out of town. Thank you.
Planning Commission had a meeting on March 19th. It was our second time to invite the public, specifically the public whose property had district changes. And a number of people showed up to the second meeting. Can't remember exactly, but certainly 5 or 6 different properties were represented. And we went through our justification for making those changes, specifically due to Act 47 and 181. And led them through our logic. There are 2 types of properties on Mechanic, is it? Madison, the north-south one. On the right-hand side, there is, and with north up, whose district was changed to be more restrictive. The other properties were not similarly affected, but those properties, it became clear to them that there was a greater restriction on the properties that could have subdivided previously.
Right.
So that one.
But there are 2 types of properties, those that are too small to have been subdivided anyway.
Yeah.
They are, you'd have to have 80,000 square feet to subdivide. And a lot of them fall under that. And then there are the larger properties, which still can be subdivided. Fewer, granted, but they still could be subdivided into, if they're in greater than 3 acres. So most of the people who were there were representing smaller properties. And they couldn't have subdivided anyway. Under the current zoning of 40,000 square foot per primary residence.
So we
The
weren't
one
taking
gentleman
anything
who-
away from.
Yeah, the
No,
one gentleman who was on Zoom has a large enough property, but had no interest in subdividing.
in subdividing. So we're maintaining, the way we put it positively was that they were maintaining the rural atmosphere and that we're satisfying the state requirement to create the appropriate
Create
transects.
Density in the village and not outside.
Correct, correct. So, there was one gentleman who had a smaller property who said he was not happy with the change, even though he couldn't subdivide.
Anyway.
Yeah, and we told him that his recourse was to come here to the trustees and explain to them, because they have the last say on the editing of the land use regulations.
Yeah.
And unless he's on Zoom, I guess that he is not shown up.
He's not.
No, okay. So that was that. Additionally, we had a meeting with the representatives from Vermont Emergency Management, V-Trans, the Dam Safety Program, and the Vermont Railway, and ourselves.
Our fire chief was there.
And our
and
fire
secretary.
chief as the emergency management director.
Mhm.
And that meeting lasted for a couple of hours, and we had the agenda items that we were interested in raised to the one representative from V-Trans who owns the dam. And we made it clear that we wanted to work with them, but we wanted them to maintain the dam and monitor the water levels.
Good point. That's
And there was no commitment on the part of V-Trans, because this gentleman said he was newly in this position.
Mhm.
But he certainly would have left very clear as to what the hopes of the village are. So that portion of the meeting went well. I then began to raise the issue of propane tankers being stored on the railway spur. And the gentleman from the railway was very abrupt and wanted nothing to do with this discussion, said this was the wrong meeting and would not discuss the issue whatsoever. Which surprised me, disappointed me, but I had been in contact with the select board of Mount Tabor. I wrote them a note saying that the information that we've received from the Federal Railway Administration, saying that we have the right to legislate on private track related to fire, life safety issues. And they wrote back and said, well, thank you very much for your information, but the Vermont Railway is no longer storing propane on their deciding in their time. So
In Mount Tabor.
in Mount Tabor,
Okay.
nor did they store this last winter on our spur. And it occurred to me that perhaps we've won the war. That my discussions maybe prompted the Federal Railway Administration or the PHMSA, which is their safety offshoot, to remind Vermont Railway that they're not doing what they should be, which is directing hazardous material to its destination more or less nonstop. That you have to have a destination, you have to have that bill of lading essentially describe exactly what you're gonna do, where you're gonna go, and take the hazardous material from one place to
And
another.
don't park it for a period before you complete.
No,
That's what you're saying.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there is a loophole in the federal regulations allowing them to do that. But maybe the Federal Railway Administration is fed up with people using that loophole. I don't know. But
Until about.
the process is stopped. So we'll see if it continues next year, and if so, we recognize that you have, and the select board of Bennington have the opportunity to legislate in some regard
Right.
for life safety purposes.
So there are some tank cars there, but they're not storing propane, or they?
I have not seen any tank cars. I've only seen what I think is limestone slurry,
Yes, I've seen a lot of those,
Yeah,
Which
okay,
is,
limestone slurry.
yeah,
which is for fertilizer.
which isn't
That's
flammable.
rating as propane.
What's that, Matthew?
I'm just joking.
Oh,
Those are propane tanks masquerading as limestone.
Limestone slurry.
I see. I see.
Or fertilizer. Fertilizer could be explosive.
It can be,
Yes.
fertilizer can be very,
As we know from the Edward Murrow building.
that's right,
Of Oklahoma City.
that's right. So those were the two issues, and then, of course, the school issue. I'd like to reinforce that for the purposes of planning our village, that the school is an essential community institution, and that we should do everything we can to support its continuance.
Yes.
And
It is actually a constitutional issue.
so certainly the planning commission stands ready to assist in any way we can.
Well,
Further than
I wonder. I don't know, perhaps a letter from the planning commission could have some weight. At some point, but I'm not sure it's now. Yeah.
I did have a letter that I sent to the governor.
I think Tim would know better than about that.
Yes, right. I mean, it's very difficult to support or oppose legislation that is constantly
Not,
changing.
yeah,
So,
and the Senate piece of legislation is not even actually written up as a bill.
no, it's a proposal.
Yeah.
That's right. So, I mean, I can tell you what I wrote, but I'm not sure that matters at this point.
I don't know if anybody else wants to hear it. If you'd send it to me.
If you want to forward it to us, perhaps we can
Yeah,
also
that'd be great.
Oh,
send the
Yeah,
same
sure.
sentiment forward.
sure.
What's holding up, the Senate education committees?
It's a complex proposal, and
Uh-huh.
he's doing a lot of
Research,
footwork.
yeah, okay,
on it. And it's more complicated than what the House is doing, because the House is just ignoring what people in communities want to a large extent, although there are certain groups like there's a rural education group that formed. And they have been quite insistent, which they should be, about, because they saw what happened to their similar school situations under Act 46. And they don't want it to happen here. They want at least some rights in terms of having the community affected in some sort of control over being able to vote for against a certain proposition that closes the school, it changes it radically so that it could be closed in the future because service levels diminish, like we see happening in certain other institutions in this nation.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
um,
I think a lot,
it's disturbing because
Yeah.
the same sort of game plan happened with Act 46. And then they never evaluated this. What was for some districts worked well, for many districts did not work so well. They never evaluated it, and now they're going around doing the same thing again, even more draconian. Oh, sorry.
no, I quite agree with
Just-
you.
I just like, it pisses me off because the state constitution said, though it was revised, the first state constitution said there shall be an appropriate number of schools per town to service its children. Then they changed the wording to ought the next in the 1794 or where, somewhere around that time, constitution to ought, and the state Supreme Court decided that ought, though it was used to basically the way shall would be used in all sorts of conceivable locations in that constitution, that they decided that for the school thing, it was just really not a shall, it was just a we like it.
Suggestion.
Yeah, suggestion.
Right.
It's
Okay.
just painful to have rights be sort of diminished so readily. I don't think that's right, and I think we're all going to suffer for it, as we're suffering at the national level.
In
Well, maybe
terms of
there's-
housing, I would say it's the same thing, that there's almost an incestuous discussion about how they do their legislating. They bring in to the House and Senate committees all the state agencies and none of the municipalities.
That's right.
And
They-
that, this is how they make housing policy.
Right.
And so what's their answer to our housing crisis? Targets for municipalities.
Right.
You must show progress to these targets, and we set the targets. And good luck.
Yeah, it's do it,
It's
but we're
the
not going to help you much.
The unfunded mandate.
Yeah,
Also.
the
That's the-
unfunded
And they do the same thing with education. They get the parade of the alphabet soup of big players like the VSBA, the School Board Association, Superintendent's Association, the Principals Association, the Vermont NEA, and they get all the weight. And if you want to make your voice mean something, you have to be very persistent, because they aren't going to give you much opportunity.
Right, because VLCT is our lobbyist.
Right.
And they're just one voice, overwhelmed by all the other,
Yeah.
as you say, alphabet soup.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing.
Okay,
It's very disappointing.
Barring further discussion,
yes,
I think we have a few more things we have to hit before the
you
end of
do.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Kim.
much.
But keep us apprised of actions we can take.
Under old business. we
Just
want-
another
Yeah,
quick
please.
on the Lake Parent Dam meeting.
Yeah.
There's another one scheduled for the last Friday in April.
Yes,
Is it 10 AM or 9 AM?
it is,
10 o'clock?
and that's gonna be a Teams meeting. I don't think that's here, is
Yeah,
it?
it's not it's all virtual.
It's all virtual.
Oh, okay.
So what we can do is set up the monitor here, and hopefully
Okay.
anyone interested can reach out and get that information. Friday, the 25th of April.
And what was the name of the emergency management person who set the meeting up?
It was set up by Tyga Christie.
Tyga,
TAIGA.
yeah, I was gonna get there.
Yes.
Christie, okay,
Yes.
good.
And I will forward, if you were not on this email, I'm looking at it now, I'll forward this to you.
Okay,
So you can see the wrap up of that.
good.
Make myself a note there, okay. Via, under old business, via email, we did a trustee approval for VAE to use the depot for some artistic preparation and presentation. The LEMP, the local emergency management plan, is usually done by each municipality and due on May 1st. This year, there's a 30-day extension and it is due on June 1st, and the BCRC will be assisting with some of that. The planning commission, specifically Kim, has been attending many meetings to learn about some of these things. And he and I have been helping or involved with the town of Bennington creating an annex to their local emergency management plan for setting up protocols and shelters and gathering spaces, et cetera, for heat emergency situations. They then are going to be doing that for other types of emergencies. And we were sitting in and learning, so we know what can we do to help North Bennington for those similar things. So we definitely need our EMD and to be involved in that process. So we will be reaching out and probably setting up separate meetings to discuss our LEMP going forward. The other thing was, I know you tried to reach out and get some.
I
talk about.
I got no response, so I have no updates.
Okay, so
If
no,
we're referring to the Memorial Parade,
the Memorial Parade,
yeah,
can we try again?
we can try again.
Okay, thank you. We also have no news on the
No
MERP,
response from him.
the project to put the energy efficient systems in our buildings. I'm losing my brain here at this time of night. We have no news on that. May 3rd is Green Up Day, and that's when a lot of municipalities will get citizens together and go collect debris along the highway. Several people did that last year along Water Street, and when Ray Cox was here, since that is the same day that they're doing their diabetes awareness walk.
Right.
Perhaps other people in the village would like to join in. He's gonna go talk to his group, and either before or after their 10 o'clock walk, we can do a cleanup of some of our areas
Yeah,
and join together.
I usually take it upon myself to do the McWaters Park.
You do McWaters, okay. But just know that what we should be doing is gathering interest. Then we go to the town of Bennington, register who it is, get a number of bags. Norm leaves a truck at a central location where we can all gather that. And then because this is a statewide effort, the town of Bennington collects all of this and then they report back the statewide participation. So it's a good, it's a nice community project, and I'm hoping that some of us will be available on May 3rd to do that. We'll talk about that.
I'm always in North Carolina. that
You're
first
always
weekend.
away.
I've done it the last few years, but I'm
Good.
not gonna be around this year,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Well, we'll figure maybe there's someone in the listening public that
Yeah,
would like.
how do we report to the state that we've done something?
Well, what I did last year, because that was the first year that I knew about it,
Mhm.
or knew about it in time to do anything. I went to the town of Bennington, sent town of Bennington an email. They have a quick little way to get in touch with them. Told them how many people, how many bags we wanted, and then Norm left the truck out so that at the end. of
That
it,
was for the whole village.
That was for the village.
They also had the bags
There-
up at the lake club.
Yes, they do. Each organization
Oh, I
does. We
see.
haven't done it. What I thought would be nice at some point is we did and organized all the activities of North Bennington. The Lake
No, I
Warren
like
does theirs,
that.
the
Yeah.
schools do
Yeah,
theirs,
that's great.
Southshire does one, I
Yeah.
think Village School does
Yeah.
one. Some other, any agency or any group of people can do it. So I think we'll maybe see if we can do something with North Shaft Lions this year. And then Bennington then reports that up and they have overall statistics about how many people in the state and how many organizations and how many bags
And
got
how much
collected.
trash.
Yeah,
So-
like tons.
Yeah. they've got it.
Whoa.
Well, trying to be mindful here of our time. I'm going to not talk about the new business, which I wanted to go over a list of items, projects, things that we should be doing this coming year. Before I depart 11 months from now, I'd like to maybe have a number of things that we started get completed. So I'll send that out and we can discuss. I'll send that out to all of you so you know my list and thoughts, and add your own, subtract some if they're not appropriate. And then we can discuss that at another meeting. Unless there's anything else, we do have an executive session. So before we make a motion for that, let me just make sure that nobody else had anything else you needed to be discussed. Matthew, Lori?
Mary, I just need to speak to your comment there about before you depart. I'm wondering if, did you already plan your, demise on this earth, or
No.
because, you know, you can check out any time you want, but you can never leave.
Okay. Well, I don't plan to leave the village, but my term as trustee is up next March. And I think it would be lovely if we have so many wonderfully talented people in this village. And I am in awe of other people's talents. And I think it would be a great opportunity for some of those extraordinarily gifted people to help. This village has a long history, as Laura has previously noted, of volunteerism and service. And anyway,
That's what I,
that's not now, but
thank you. Well, I'm glad departure, that
just departure from board.
terminal departure would not be well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there is no other business, we need a motion to enter
Motion to go into executive session
for the purpose of
for the
A
purpose
legal
of a
discussion.
legal discussion.
premature disclosure of which would put parties at undue disadvantage.
What you said.
Okay,
Yes.
Second,
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Cat TV, we will not be making any decisions